Hello. Today we're going to start talking about finding the main idea of a nonfiction text. We've talked about finding the main idea of a fiction text or a made up or narrative story in the past. Today we're going to start talking about what that looks like for a nonfiction text. And I decided to use this picture over here of trees. This reminds me of like San Diego, California. It looks a lot like this if you go down to the southern part of California with the palm trees and then these other kinds of dry weather trees. But it starts off with this trunk, which I think of like the main idea, and then all these branches spread out with these other little ideas, and then the leaves are like the details. So I like to keep that picture of a tree in mind as I start thinking about finding the main idea. The main idea is like the trunk of that tree. There we go. So let's talk, just like we did with fiction or narrative stories, about breaking down a nonfiction text. When you're reading, sometimes you've got to figure out what's the important stuff. The author's going to give you lots of information, and sometimes you need to just break it down and find the really important stuff. So just like with a narrative story, we talked about after I read it, I could do a retell. And then if I want to get even more focused, I could just do a summary. If I want to get even more focused, I could do the main idea, and then the littlest, tiniest bit of information would be the topic. When we do the retell, I'm repeating all the parts, I should fix this, all the parts of the text from memory. So a retell is basically you finished reading and then you're going to say every single thing you remember. And that worked great when you were in first and second grade and the stories and the texts were short. You really could do that. But here in fifth grade, you can't retell every single thing you read. It would take forever. You guys are reading these really long, complex texts. So we don't do a retell very often in the upper grades. The next level, where I have a little bit more focused information, is the summary. And this is all the important ideas from the text, plus some key details. And a summary is usually like 3 to 5 sentences. You can think of it as one big paragraph. If we're going to get even more focused, more refined, we've got the main idea. The main idea includes all the important ideas, and it's usually 1 to 3 sentences. And this is where we're going to focus today, and actually over the course of this whole week. We're going to spend a lot of time living in this main idea territory. And then the very most focused, tiny bit of information is just the topic. What is the subject of the text? Is it about gorillas? Is it about earthquakes? Is it about Native Americans in Virginia? What is the topic? What is it just about? And that's usually 1 to 3 words. You notice I just said Native Americans of Virginia. That's 4 words, but it's still the topic. If I was just going to say what it is. In writing, you're going to talk about that being the subject, and you're going to learn what the subject is. So these two ideas kind of connect. So what is a main idea? We just talked about how the main idea in nonfiction text is the most important idea or ideas that the text is teaching. And we say it should be 1 to 3 sentences. And I bet some of you are saying, well, how do I know when to write 1 sentence? And how do I know when to write 3? That really depends on, are they teaching you an idea or are they teaching you ideas? That's the big idea there. It depends on if you're learning an idea or ideas. So here where I say paragraph, if you're only writing 1 paragraph, let me get my drawing tool ready. If I'm only writing 1 paragraph, or if I'm only reading 1 paragraph, it should only be 1 sentence, right? We've all read paragraphs and they're usually teaching you 1 idea. If they're teaching you multiple ideas, it should be multiple paragraphs. Each paragraph has 1 big idea. If I'm finding the main idea of a section, remember a section is a group of paragraphs and they often, it's like a subheading and then the paragraphs. Well, then that would be 1 to 2 sentences, right? Depending on how many ideas are being taught. And if I'm finding the main idea of a whole text, I'm probably looking at least 3 sentences, depending on how long the text is. You've really got to ask yourself, how many big ideas are being taught? There's usually 1 really big idea for each section. So if I have a text and it has 2 subheadings, I probably have 2 big ideas. If I have a text with 3 subheadings, I'm probably looking at a main idea that has 3 sentences because there's 3 big ideas. So today we're going to focus not on finding the main idea of a whole section or a whole text, but we're going to start small and just zoom in on finding the main idea of a paragraph. And the strategy I want to teach you today is called the topic so what strategy. It really revolves around the idea, I lost my draw tool. It really revolves around the idea that if I can figure out the topic that my article is about, then I can say, so what? So if I'm trying to figure out what the main idea is, my first task will be to find the topic. So if I'm reading a text and it says that my text is about monkeys, then my topic would be monkeys. And then I'm going to ask myself, so what? What is the text teaching me about monkeys? What's the idea about monkeys? So I was reading an article today that was talking about how monkeys have these little wars between themselves. So the topic was monkeys. And then when I said, so what? Monkeys fight wars between different groups. So the main idea of that paragraph would be this, so what? Monkeys fight wars between different groups. My topic is monkeys, and my so what is really my main idea of that paragraph. That whole paragraph was about monkeys fight wars between different groups. So let's take a look at a couple paragraphs together and find the topic and do the so what, and then I've got a couple for you to try on your own. So let's look at this article. This is from, or this paragraph. It's from an article called Animal Instincts by the Weekly Reader Corporation. As we're reading, we're going to be asking ourselves, what's this about? What's our topic? And so what? All right. Hours before giant waves pounded coastlines in South Asia, many animals started behaving strangely. In Sri Lanka, elephants trumpeted frantically and fled to higher ground. Bats and flamingos deserted low-lying areas. Many other animals escaped unharmed. Ooh, there was an again and again. That's a great place to find my topic. We have animals. Right here, they had animals. We had elephants, bats and flamingos. My again and again is all these different animals. So I know this article is all about animals. Ooh, there's animals again. My again and again is animals. So my topic is animals. Okay, that's easy enough. So what about animals? So what? What do these animals do? Now that I've found my topic, I'm going to go back and reread and see if I can figure out, so what? All right. Hours before giant waves pounded coastlines in South Asia, many animals started behaving strangely. In Sri Lanka, elephants trumpeted frantically and fled to higher ground. Bats and flamingos deserted low-lying areas. Many other animals escaped unharmed. Ooh, this is about animals getting away from giant waves. Okay, and that was kind of in my topic sentence there, right? I can even notice that first sentence often has the most clues for me. Hours before giant waves pounded coastlines in South Asia, many animals started behaving strangely, and then it tells me what they did. So my so what here is animals escaped giant waves by behaving strangely. That's my big idea. So if somebody says, what's the main idea of this paragraph? Animals escape giant waves by behaving strangely. I found the topic. I used it to find the so what. Let's try it on another one. This is the next paragraph in the article. Wildlife experts are amazed that many animals survived the tsunami. The series of huge waves killed thousands of people in Southeast Asia and East Africa in 2004. Experts say animals might have sensed the approaching waves and moved to higher ground. I think animals can sense disaster. They know when things are happening in nature, said an official at the National Wildlife Department in Sri Lanka. Ooh, what is this about? Gosh, it's still about animals. Did you notice they kept saying wildlife experts and animals? We're still talking about animals. My topic? Still animals. So what? The so what, I'm going to go back and reread. I know I'm thinking about animals. I'm going to look at that first sentence, that topic sentence, and then I'm going to think, what can be my so what? Wildlife experts are amazed that many animals survive the tsunami. Oh, animals survive the tsunami. Okay, I'm going to keep reading, but now I'm thinking, how does this all connect to animals surviving the tsunami? The series of huge waves killed thousands of people in South Asia and East Africa in 2004. Experts say animals might have sensed the approaching waves and moved to higher ground. I think animals can sense disaster. Ooh, they said sense twice. That's an again and again. They sense the approaching waves. They can sense disaster. They know when things are happening in nature, said an official at the National Wildlife Department in Sri Lanka. And that was even in Words of the Wiser, so I know it's important. I'm going to make that red because it's the Words of the Wiser. I'm going to make my topic sentence red. And I notice the word sense and the word sense. Ooh, so what? What's the big idea? Animals can sense danger, and it helped them escape the tsunami. Animals can sense danger. Yep, they said that multiple times, and it helped them escape the tsunami. All right, so the main idea of this paragraph is animals can sense danger, and it helped them escape the tsunami. This is the strategy we're using. We're just going through, we're asking ourselves, what's the topic? And then, so what? What's it telling me? All right, the next two are your job. Your job is going to be to figure out what's the topic and so what. You can show your deep thinking by using the underlining tool in the Draw It to underline signposts that you find. Be especially on the lookout for those again and agains. They really help you focus in on what's most important. Also, take a look at the first sentence of every paragraph. That's called the topic sentence. It usually helps you get into the right frame of mind to be looking for the main idea. Good luck.